My aunt used to tell me that when my cousins were babies, she rocked them and told them she loved them and they were adopted. That way there would never be a big reveal, and they would always associate their adoption with love. I took this advice to heart when I adopted my Cabbage Patch Kid in 3rd grade, and we celebrated with all the other 8-year-old adopted moms at recess. We carried the Hasbro issue adoption papers with pride, giddy to have plucked our babies from the Cabbage Patch to be our very own. Flash forward 30-something years, and my wife and I are rocking our swaddled babies to sleep and whispering, "We love you, we're your mamas, we're adopting you tomorrow." My brother-in-law flew in from Michigan to be at the courthouse along with our closest friends. Our parents would come in a few weeks for a big party at our house, and we would celebrate the finalization of the adoption with a catered brunch. There were tears in the courthouse, tears of joy and relief that we were officially the family we had felt ourselves to be since we first learned of their birth mother's pregnancy, before any of us knew we were having twins. Now it was official, and we were having a party. Gus and Milo slept in our arms through the proceedings and the celebrating that followed, as we whispered in their baby ears, "We love you, we're your mamas, we adopted you." We read all the books, talked to all the people, formed all the opinions. We would use the phrase, "You were placed with us," and your birth mother made an adoption plan, so they would never feel given up. We would celebrate their adoption each year on February 17th, so they would always know what a special occasion it is for our family and what a special family we are. Their friends would come to their adoption parties and know that their adoption is a source of joy. They would always feel proud and confident and loved. There was a small party at our house for that first anniversary. We read a few picture books that celebrated adopted families like ours. We rewrote the happy birthday song to sing the praises of our family. By year 2, Gus and Milo were old enough to know that a real party involves cupcakes and a bouncy house. So we raised the bar. That was the year we coined the festive term adoptiversary. Year 3 was marked at an indoor play space that had a carousel, and for a long time after that, whenever we mentioned adoption, Milo would say, "Adoption is a carousel." Some confusion, yes, but we were delighted that our kids understood their adoption as a joyous thing, something to celebrate with carousels and cupcakes. And then I stumbled upon a private Facebook page about adoption. I assumed I would meet other adoptive parents there and talk about how annoying it is when people tell us how lucky our kids are, or that we're so great for adopting. Maybe I would strike up conversations with some other white moms about caring for our kids' hair and our fears about raising black boys in a violent racist society. Maybe I would meet other lesbian moms of twins or parents of boys who like to wear dresses. There was so much to talk about. Instead, this turned out to be something entirely different than I had ever experienced. This group focused on the voices of adult adoptees and birth parents, or first parents, a term I had never even heard before. Adoptive parents like myself were asked to listen and learn. I'm a teacher. I'm a talker. I'm an extrovert. I interrupt. I have all kinds of fully developed opinions about all kinds of things. Listening and learning proved to be a lot more challenging than I had expected. A lot more painful, and exactly what I owed to my kids. One of the first threads I followed closely was about adoption parties. We got this, I thought, so I began to read. At first, the anger and pain that I encountered on that page made me want to stop listening. But the honest voices from people whose experience is so different than my own kept calling me back. The anniversary of an adoption, I learned, can be the saddest day of the year for an adopted person. It can be a reminder of loss, like the anniversary of a death. This was hard to wrap my mind around at first. Our kids have been with us since the morning after they were born. They weren't removed from their home. They have no memory of their birth mother. What loss have they experienced? But the more I started listening, really listening, the more I learned. I learned that it is possible to grieve for someone you've never met. That when you grew inside that person, heard their voice, felt the motion of their body, grief is inevitable. I learned that the loss my kids carry is something they were born with. They might not recognize it yet, but it's in there, and no amount of cupcakes or carousels can take it away. We tell them the story of the night they were born all the time. How we got a phone call from their birth mother, Brittany, letting us know that the doctor was going to perform a C-section right away. How we could hear the buzzes and beeps of hospital activity in the background. How we were on a plane the next morning to Florida, where we would stay for 3 weeks while they grew bigger and stronger in the NICU. How we would bring them home on an overnight train, their favorite part of the story. Recently, Milo picked up on the timeline of those first few hours and asked me, who was with them that first night before Mommy and Mama got there? Were they alone? Then the other night they asked, is there milk in my breast? I explained that women only have milk when they give birth to a baby, and that I never had milk because we adopted them. So Brittany had milk in her breast? Asked Gus. Yeah, I guess so, but you drank from bottles because we adopted you. They didn't ask more in that moment. They didn't ask why. I don't want my kids to feel pain. I want to be honest, but I don't want the truth to sting or to surprise. I want their lives to be all cupcakes and carousels. But at 4.5, they are growing like weeds and figuring stuff out all the time. Milo can turn a near-perfect cartwheel and loves to walk our dogs. Gus can make anyone crack up and can reason his way through any negotiation. They offer each other their loveys when they get hurt or feel sad, and they say things so brilliant that we have to post on Facebook sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. I thought we had warded off any shock or pain by telling them their story all along, but it turns out we've only given them words. Adoption, NICU, family, Florida, love. We're piecing together their stories with pictures and names and memories, but it's still missing so much. The questions that have only just started to come are theirs to ask, and the missing pieces are theirs to grieve. This was the first year we didn't celebrate their adoption. February 17th came and went, and we didn't ask them to feel joy or to feel any certain way at all. I looked back at pictures of our family at the courthouse 4 years ago, and I felt all the immense gratitude and relief that I always feel. But this year there was also pain for their loss and dread for the questions I know are coming and the answers we have yet to figure out. We're going to have to do better than, we love you, we're your mamas, we adopted you. Last night, after bath time and jammies and stories, Gus asked us to leave his door open a medium and a half. And so we did. We're here on the other side. We're listening. We're learning.